think that the key for me was trying to explore the tension between his external charisma and his internal vulnerability. And I hope you can see from the film, I think to be in his presence in an auditorium was electrifying. Everybody attests to that. He was this incredible star with a presence and a power that was unforgettable. And yet it seems to have come from quite a tortured place. The power of the music, the sincerity of the music came from some very formidable demons that he had. And just exploring that tension I found fascinating.
The music is also his. I was just mentioning, we're kind of riffing about our favorite Hank Williams songs. There's actually so much solemnity in that music, and I think actually hearing you perform it yourself, what was it like kind of performing that music? I mean, it must have been another layer into a character. Almost the music is almost a character in and of itself, right?
Yeah. The challenge, as I began it, was greater than I had imagined, because it wasn't just about trying to sound like him or play like him. It was actually trying to inhabit the soul of those songs and transmit that soul and interpret it. And I realized that there was no way I was ever going to communicate the power of the music unless I invested myself in the kind of feelings he's dealing with. I had to explore my own capacity for loneliness, my own capacity for despair, because that's really where those songs come from. And it was an interesting, as an actor, you know, what we do is we interpret material all the time, and hopefully in a way that makes it seem real and universal. And so I had to commit myself to my own interpretation of those, I think, universal feelings.
Ren, the sense I get from Bobby Jett is she was very much sort of a formidable force herself. That scene on the dock when Hank says, "You don't want to marry me," and she says, "I will," and he says, "That's a very different sort of thing." There is sort of a sense that she has a strength to her. She says, "I will marry you." What was the key to her for you?
I don't know if there's anything that I would really put my finger on as far as being the key. Because for me, the initial roadmap was the script, and then it was about trying to invest in the circumstances that she found herself in. But I feel like the biggest thing that I wanted to explore in the film was what it takes to be a single mother who was pregnant for a second time, and facing kind of, I think that big kind of canyon, and you know, that you're just like looking down into without having really any options. And actually, weirdly, I did some research about access to birth control in the 1950s, and it was very limited if you were not a married woman, which is very bizarre, because you would think the woman who is single would need that more. And usually you had to get that from your doctor, but your doctor wouldn't give it to you if you were married. So I think my real struggle with it was really trying to understand the circumstances she'd have to be in order to say that, to knowingly say to a man who she knows doesn't maybe love her the way she wants to be loved, but I would do it. Knowing also that he's the kind of guy that does have other women in his life, to be faced with that, and then ultimately to feel like maybe you can't take care of your child. There's actually a scene that was cut from the film where Bobby Jett gives over official custody to Hank Williams and to Hank's mom, which I feel like a lot of people don't know that, but I feel like that must have been a really hard decision for